All right, Jay. Well, nice to talk to you again, man.
Likewise, Chris. Thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure. So I watched the movie last night. I have to say, I was very amused by the production company JOBLO because it's very close to Joe Blow.
It is. It is indeed. Yeah, I know. That's sometimes you get those.
I called my boss. I said, "Did you put money into this?"
Yeah, and to be honest, the way independent films are made, he very well could have, and I would
Yeah,
have no idea.
yeah, for sure. So this was based on a one-shot comic, right?
Yep.
And you've been
Yep.
attached to it for a while because I remember reading stories about this back in like I think before you even did Goon.
Oh yeah, no, it's been we have Jesse and I wrote the very first treatment of this the year that the first Goon came out. So
Mhm.
that's how long we have been hustling to get this thing going.
Yeah, I mean, can you tell me about what it is that drew you to the material? Like what it was that made you really invest in it so much?
Yeah, it was two things: lifelong fandom of genre films, and the chance to do that rare thing, which is make something scary about a subject that no one else really had.
Mhm.
There's, and what I mean by that is I hadn't seen a ton of horror films about artistic responsibility and the creative process.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me to be terribly fertile. And it seemed to me to be that cool thing, which would be like an extension, a filmic extension of conversations that Jesse, my writing partner, and I were already having in our house when we lived together in
Jesse
NDG.
Shabbat.
Jesse Shabbat, yeah, that's right, who I wrote Lasting Enforcers with, and we were roommates for 5 years, and we'd watch movies and get into big discussions. And yeah, this seemed like a place to put all of that.
So I was watching it, and it felt like I might be totally off base. Was there kind of an Argento feel to it a little bit, especially with the bold kind of primary colors? I like Karim's work a lot, Karim Hussein. I know him a bit from
Yeah,
Asia, and I
yeah,
felt like at times I was watching a little Argento-ish kind of.
definitely, especially in some of the kind of fetishistic hand stuff, hand shot. There's a lot of that. There's definitely a bit of like leather glove horror in its DNA. That what's crazy is so Kareem's more the giallo guy than I am.
Yeah,
Um, what was crazy was he came in and was like assumed that this was my answer to Profondo Rosso, to Deep Red, and and then I told him that I had never seen it,
wow. Because
and
I was thinking Deep Red when I saw it too. I was like,
so
oh,
a lot,
I
and
love
and
Deep
and and then I saw Deep Red, and I was like, oh shit.
Red.
Yeah, no kidding. Like all the Christmas stuff, and like, yeah, I was like, I get, so it definitely has some nods to that stuff. For me, what I get, what you I think what feels like Argento, and I think correctly, especially kind of given Kareem's affinity for him, for me is more Texas Chainsaw. That
Really,
that
really.
that yeah, Toby Hooper's Texas Chainsaw is like still in the holy trinity of like films that are legitimately scary. I because like I enjoy Italian horror, but I'm never once scared by it. I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful artistry, lovingly created cinema, and I adore the crafting of a good sequence, and I can appreciate it on every level except for scaring me. It
I agree
never
with you.
scares me. And and so Texas Chainsaw actually fucks me up. And I think
Yeah.
I think it's like deeply weighted, and I think it's an easily dismissible movie that is like scary and more in ways that are more profound than I think people give it credit for. And so it was kind of this dirty, sad, broken lack of control that I was trying to imbue my film with.
So you're more of a Texas Chainsaw original guy than Texas Chainsaw 2?
I would say so. Yes, I have an appreciation, and I can respect why it goes where it goes, but but
Okay.
like ultimately, ultimately, yeah, no, that there's nothing scary about that to me.
Yeah. um, All right. Well, one of the things I really liked about it was Jesse Williams. I thought
Yeah.
was a great choice for a leading man.
Amazing.
How did you end up getting him? Especially for like for kind of a Canadian movie. Although he's playing an American, so it was right. Like I feel
Yes,
like he's an American.
he's playing an American transplant up here.
Yeah.
But basically, it was like, yeah, he was. It was when we had enough resources to actually think that we were like the movie wasn't just theoretical, it was something that we could actually start kind of planning, and then it was time to start meeting folks. And I had talked with a whole bunch of actors, and Jesse was the only one who, like, within a minute and a half, 2 minutes of talking to him, I was like, oh shit, this is him. And
Yeah.
then everything that he responded to in the script was the stuff that meant the most to me, was the stuff I cared the most about, is what he connected to. And then in just discussing with him sort of like what he cares about, what's important, what makes him angry, I just was like, there's a kindred spirit here. And by the way, even if none of that had happened, he's just a damn good actor. Like, that's really ultimately all that matters, is he gets the puck in the net, like, and so like I was terribly lucky on both my movies. I was like, I've been spoiled for riches in terms of well, everything, but in particular in terms of my cast.
He's got like kind of a nice cerebral quality that I liked about it.
Big
Like
time,
I like the
big
thinking
time.
man's lead.
That's that same here, but like, you can always see him thinking, but he's also deeply physical,
Yeah.
and so it ends up being the perfect thing for this movie, which is like a journey through his head that that he has to actually physically undertake. So he's got to do all the slasher stuff. He's got to be on his feet and deep, very physical the whole time. But he's got to be. You've got to buy him as tortured artist with his head up his arse.
One thing that I really liked about the movie too was your use of music, and I liked kind of the longer scenes that didn't necessarily have any dialogue, that were kind of impressionistic a little bit. Like, getting back to Italian horror, and I know that's not necessarily your reference, but they do this thing called a lazzi in Italian horror, where they often just have these long extended scenes that are set to music, and it reminded me a bit of it in this movie. But you came by in kind of a really genuine way. What led you? What was your influence in that? Because I thought those were very effective scenes, very effective.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. I think it's two things. If I like three things, I've thought about that. For me, it's growing up watching movies. The way Michael Mann used pop music,
The best.
and the way John Hughes used pop music.
Just watched The Keep again last night.
Oh, okay. So it's a deeply synth movie, this movie too, right? There's like a lot of Mann in its DNA, and a lot of John Hughes too, because like I realized that like anytime I do something where I pull the sound out and it's to music, all of it comes back to the scene at the art gallery in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is like
best.
Oh, the best, because now a movie that was fun now means something and makes you give a shit and has like a big, huge heart to it. And it just is like music scratches itches that words are too literal for, right? So it's those things. Plus, honest to God, I was a massive Music Plus and Much Music kid. Like I had a TV in my bedroom all throughout high school, and it was only ever on those two channels, or if there was a true crime thing on A&E. And so I spent hours and hours each day for years being just absorbing all of this language. Like, there was, especially, I would posit that music videos had their creative apex in the 1990s. And so I was quite, because the first time chances were really being taken, but the form had been around long enough so that it had sort of standards, and so something could be weird and challenging while still really, really slick. And so that stuff drilled into me. And then I'd fall asleep to the Drambuie Showcase review every fucking night. And so I would I'd watch videos in the day, and then I'd watch half an hour of a Dutch movie that I'd never heard of before or after. And it would be, so all of it just kind of bled into me.
That makes me hope that you do the I Want My MTV movie when they get to it. I gotta ask you one question. Last time, when I did this, when I did an interview with you, you mentioned how much you liked Batman v Superman. I have to ask you, what do you think of the Snyder Cut coming out? Last question. I'm sorry.
Oh, amazing. I am so psyched because, like, you know, I'm so the same way that I'm a pothead, but I hate weed culture. I'm a massive Zack Snyder fanboy, and I'm a massive fan of Batman versus Superman. I can't stand the sort
Snyder
of
Cut, bro.
quasi-religious tone
Yeah.
that this
I hear
fucking debate has taken. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And, you know, but I am, to answer your question, very excited. I saw Justice League in the theater. I enjoyed it. It was super fun, but it was clearly not the flick that it was supposed to be. And I could even, I don't know for certain, but I could tell when I was watching it, or so I thought I could tell the pieces that weren't him. And I would just like this beautiful unheard record will finally come out in its entirety. Like, I don't know that I'd ever be that crazy excited if they found the missing reel of Magnificent Ambersons, but getting to see this Justice League Zack Snyder intended, I'm pretty thrilled.
All right, man. Thank you very much. Hey, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Chris.
Is there a concern that Slasher Man could push the already unstable over the edge into violence?
I've done, what, 1,000 kills? Once in a while, one of them might match up with something that happens in this country.
We need to call the cops.
And tell them what? That it's a killer running around recreating murders from my comics?
What is it? Oh my God.
Todd drew this.
He is going to kill us.